A 28-year-old man who was kidnapped outside a hardware store in Benoni has apparently been found in Katlehong in Ekurhuleni. A video was circulated of Maulana Tassin being pushed into a bakkie by 4 men. 5 suspects have now been arrested. Our reporter Barry Bateman is following that story and is joining us now with the latest. Barry, good afternoon. Well, we understand that among the suspects is a Metro Police officer.
Yeah, quite right, Dan. That arrest came last night. The crime intelligence-led operation led them to the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department official. That person, we understand, then led them to another suspect, and that person was interrogated, which ultimately led them to this address in Katlehong, where the police conducted their operation earlier today. And it was in here where the police managed to rescue that 28-year-old man who was abducted or kidnapped about a month ago. What we also understand, the police managed to secure firearms. There were several firearms, handguns, including rifles and ammunition, which was found on the scene. We were here earlier, we spoke to the wife of the man who was arrested here, Dan. She's saying she knew nothing about what was going on. In fact, she had come here. We don't understand why she wasn't actually living here at the time, but we understand she came here on Sunday. She wanted to pick up some clothing. The husband wouldn't let her into the house. She explained to us that she doesn't know why he did this, just that it did concern her, that she wasn't allowed to come into the house. We know now why, because, of course, there was a hostage in here. We have asked if we can interview the woman. It doesn't appear like she's going to come out now. But it gives you an idea. It is a regular house, a regular street in Katlehong, with very sinister things happening behind these walls.
So she was coming in on Sunday as the wife and of the house. She's not allowed in. That raised some suspicions on her part. Who then sort of blows the whistle? Why do police make their way there? Did they get a tip-off?
Well, as I indicated earlier, it was a crime intelligence-led operation. And we understand, I've spoken to my sources within crime intelligence, they said it was back-to-basics kind of police work. They had their leads from their informants in various communities. Of course, they'd been chasing this for several weeks. And it was through that. And of course, this Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department official, we understand that this woman has been linked to other kidnappings. So there's potentially other cases to flow from this, Dan. And that's why they were keeping an eye on that particular woman. It got to a point where they felt they had strong enough evidence to move. It's that point that they moved on this EMPD official last night. We understand it's a woman, and that's when the interrogations took place. And within 24 hours, we've got the success taking place here. So that is how they were led here. As for the wife of the man who lives here, we understand a fairly elderly man. The neighbors have told me that he was unemployed. There was a very unassuming man. Nothing to suggest that was anything untoward that was happening in this property. The wife coming here on Sunday, she found it very strange, and she was telling us, in fact, having learnt of what's taken place, she's very embarrassed by this, and she wants answers from her husband.
Okay, what do you know about the condition of Maulana Tassin? Do you have any information after he's been rescued?
Yeah, I spoke to the police's Vishnaidu just a short while ago, and I asked that question. We understand that the hostage had suffered from a medical condition. He suffered from high blood pressure, having not had access to his medication for the last couple of weeks. When the police arrived here earlier, he was in a bit of a state. He was traumatized under severe stress, and of course, with that underlying condition, it put him in a poor state of health. We understand he was also malnourished. When I arrived here, the ambulances were on their way out, and we understand that shortly after the operation, the hostage was put into the ambulance. He's currently receiving medical treatment at a facility somewhere nearby.
Yeah. Do we have any clue yet, Barry? Is it too early when the suspects will be appearing in court?
Well, ordinarily, they would appear within 48 hours. Given that those first suspects were arrested yesterday, they would have to appear in court tomorrow. So I think all 5 will probably make their first appearance by tomorrow.
Yeah. Anything else as we conclude, Barry, that you may have learned from the police as you were trying to understand what has happened here that might be important for our viewers to know? Because we're seeing this rise in kidnappings, including even in the latest crime stats. We saw the minister, Bekele, announcing that there were like 2,000 kidnappings in the 3-month period, July to September.
Dan, I think the significance of what we're seeing here today must be viewed in the context of where I was yesterday. I was out in Heidelberg, where a Mozambican national, I was at the property where the Mozambican national was rescued on Friday night. Now, just last week, a new specialized team has been set up within crime intelligence to deal with kidnappings. And we understand that these two quick successes are the products of this new strategy that has been implemented by crime intelligence. So, after the uproar of the Moti brothers, although we've always had the kidnappings being a problem in South Africa, the 4 siblings taken in one go caught the imagination of South Africans, in fact angered South Africans that something like this can happen. And the police at the time, until recently, only had 5 people nationally, Dan, that were dedicated to dealing with kidnappings. We now understand that additional resources are being put into to deal with this particular crime. And the message from Vishnaidu a short while ago is that kidnappers out there should be careful. They're going to be on their tracks very soon.
Yeah, we're seeing now, just now, as you were talking there, Barry, answering that question about the significance of this arrest, we are showing our viewers the visuals just that were taken a little bit earlier when the suspects were arrested in that house there in Katlehong. We'll gather, of course, from what you've just said, that there'll be more investigations into this case, but also in others. So we got 5 suspects being arrested, and including a metro police from Ekurhuleni. That case, we'll have to keep track of it. Thank you very much, Barry Bateman. This hour, they're talking to us. They're live from Katlehong at the house where the kidnapped 28-year-old man has been found. Maulana Tassin, found, of course, in a state, and apparently he suffers from hypertension without his medication for weeks now, but he's now been rescued. We'll follow this case, of course, when it reaches our courts.